So to kick off our series on mobile marketing, this week we focus on content. Got three experts in the content business telling us about their experiences and where they think the business is going to be headed. So Manav, start with you. So you've just launched a new product. It's all on mobile. So tell me what you expect of the business and what you expect brands to do with your product.
Sure. So from all standpoint, it is a subscription-only ad-free platform as we speak. It is already available in some 69 plus geographies all across the world. And the kind of monetization that we have built in is only subscription based. While we have done that, we've also given option to sample the content outside the platform as well. So 3 episodes of every show are available to be consumed on YouTube and FB as well. From a brand standpoint, right, as of now, we are looking at some very key non-intrusive brand integrations which are in sync with the story, script, and the cast. But from a monetization standpoint, it is mobile specific, it is subscription only, no ads, right? And the price point that we have kept for a country like India is less than $1 a day. So for 300 rupees annually, you get to consume as much as you want. And we come to the market with the promise of releasing 250 hours plus content this year itself. Contrast it with Netflix, which all of last year did 600 hours of original shows.
Right. So Vinodh, tell me, you're in this racket a little earlier than our young man over here. So tell me, they've got the $2 offering and so on and so forth. So and not much for brands.
Yeah.
So now we're reaching a stage where lots of mediums, they're shutting brands out. Mm-hmm. So why should a marketer look at this medium when you have ad avoidance on TV and then you've got products which intrinsically shut out brands?
Sure. So I would just add to your setup that it's not just for content for us, but also technology.
Right.
And there's 3 kind of fundamental principles that we look at when we work with brands. I think the first is that we believe by being technology focused that we can build Savin and bring Savin to everybody. It's relatively easy to build an iPhone app in terms of one device and one screen size, but when you think about the Android ecosystem, you've got thousands of different phones, different hardware specifications, different memory, and we have to make sure Savin works for everybody. And that's important because marketers desire scale.
Right.
The second part really comes down to, when you make something really easy for somebody, they consume more of it. It's happened with Netflix, it's happened with Facebook, pretty much all the successful consumer applications that are out there. And that's important for marketers because it leads to engagement. Right. High quality time with your brand. And the third principle for us is that we focus really on music and kind of audio broadly defined because it's a passion for consumers. When they are listening to music on Savin, they're listening at a heightened emotional state. And that's an opportunity, if we do our job right, to be able to weave in marketer messages into that listening experience. But we all have to be always focused on
expand on that.
First.
What are those marketer messages? How do they come in? How non-intrusive are they?
So we serve up one audio ad every 15 minutes.
Right.
Okay. When you compare that with radio, that's 22 minutes of advertising that radio serves every hour for their listeners. We serve up 1 minute.
So now
it's a very
I'm a marketer. I
experience.
bought one spot, which you're giving me a solo spot every 15 minutes.
Right.
So what kind of money do I pay for that? Is it a CPT model?
It's a cost per spot.
It's an absolute spot.
Yes.
So you don't care how many people listen to it.
Well, one person's listening to it, right? So we're charging on a single user basis who listens to that spot. And there's a certain rate card that we have. Yeah. And as you get into targeting by age, gender, device, geo, there's about 18 different parameters that we have. There's different price fluctuations that take place, and then there's also an element of a bid-based marketplace model.
Right.
And so the way that we look at the world is that it's kind of 15-minute increments of time, right? And that 15 minutes that you have with a user is not just an audio ad, but it's an audio ad with a call to action to the display, right? Because 90% of our consumption is taking place on a mobile device, and most of the time people are not looking at the screen. So it's our job, based on that targeting, to wake up the user and drive them to a call to action. Right. And one of the things that we do, it's a hallmark of our culture at our company, is that we obsess about our customers. Okay, the first customer for everybody, ourselves, marketers, mobile operators, labels, what have you, is the consumer, right? But for purposes of this conversation, we also obsess around advertisers, right? What do they look at as success? What's important to them? How do they understand content? And we kind of aligned around those metrics. So our job in working with brands is taking that passion that consumers have and transposing that onto the marketer's brand.
Right. Sameer, of the three of the panel, you're one whose reason for existence is the brands, really. That's the core of where you started. So tell me, what now that you've run thus far, what are your experience of working with brands in this space, in your content space? How open are they? How much do they know? How open are they to investing in it? And what are the demands and measurement from this?
I think at a broad 30,000 feet, the problem with this medium currently is that when brands want to reach out to audiences, they need to go through a traditional route in order to create their communication. The creative agency basically designs keeping the traditional communication in mind and then adapts that communication for a digital medium. Well, in this case, it turns out that there is no barrier to distribution because media companies like ours have pockets of these communities built around our own media brands. But what we also able to do is marry the creative communication that the brand's business desires and then deliver that through the content and the audience we already have built. So in a manner, what we are doing is we are pretty much being able to do two things which any media company does. One is build audiences and then sell those audiences to advertisers. And the third leg is actually effectively communicate what the advertiser wants back to the audience, which typically is what a creative agency used to do. So it's sort of a place where we are molding two parts of the world. One is what the traditional creative agency used to do, but with which they don't really technically have the understanding of digital because it's not one communication. You have to do multiple forms of communication, all with video, which is hard to scale, which we are able to do using our technology, and then deliver to them large audiences. And I think this is not lost at for brands because we're able to do it at much lower cost and much higher ROI than typically they do.
How are you measuring that? These are two lovely things to hear, but
it's very clear. It's fairly simple, right? Because there are about 3 to 4 metrics which go into measuring whether video has delivered. In on television, it's basically reach and frequency. Over here, it's reach, frequency, and engagement. Are you able to kind of deliver a kind of audience with the right TG, which is really where the community and the media brand comes into the play? Second is, are you being able to get them recall and engagement through the content that you're delivering? And that's not just through viewership, it's through other metrics like watch time, engagement, whether they like, commented. And third is advocacy, which did they actually share the product which you actually put out. All of these three are predicated on the fact that are you delivering communication to the right audience in the form that they want. So if you're delivering, say for example, a general piece of communication to multiple different audiences here, Tamilian or a Malayalam or a Teluguite, which is not going to be relevant to them, it's not going to get the metrics around engagement and viewership that you would want to deliver back to the brand. And hence the need to build these media brands out, which is what we have done.
Right. Before I come to you, Manav, Vinodh, one of the challenges that in the mobile marketing space is content, and a subset of that is content in languages. Right now, you've got Manav, who's got all Hindi content. He's got nothing else really, and it's a fantastic challenge because what does
he's got Korean as well.
You've got Korean.
We are also doing shows in Tamil, Telugu, Malayalam, Bengali as well.
You started, or
I'm going to launch a show in Tamil in next 2 weeks.
Right. So tell me, in your case, how do you see this going? Because we saw this with television, where it started off in India with just English and Hindi. Largely Hindi, a little bit of English. And then there was a sort of time lag before it exploded. And then you got Tamil, you got, with Sun TV, then you got Asianet, and you got all these people. When will that happen here in your business? Because, if GECs had about 70% share in 1992, it came down to 27, 28% now. And the same will happen in your business.
The way we look at it is a little bit differently, Anand, because we have about 30 million songs that are in our library. It's across 22 languages, 35 dialects. Okay, and that's available globally. English is just really focused on just the India kind of SARC region or so. And so I think people have a very big misconception about music. They think it's kind of just a pure leisure medium, and but it's actually a companion medium that accompanies people while they're doing things that are important to them, right? Or just kind of as part of their routine day to day. It could be driving, it could be doing chores, it could be at work, it could be exercise, it could be just walking. And so we kind of look at our product experience to be well beyond just the actual app itself, but it's like, what's the consumer actually doing when they're listening to music? And so out of all that content that we have, it requires certainly a high degree of technology, some sophisticated algorithms to make sure the right music is presented to the right person at the right time. Right? And there's stuff that's released from the music industry, the film industry, which is heard by everybody because it's blasted over the airwaves, both TV and radio. But there's a lot of obscure stuff. There's a lot of other really high quality content that's produced by artists, let's say outside of the film industry, that we are taking the responsibility on through our Artist Original program, as well as our original content, our long form audio, to be able to present that to consumers at the moment when they actually come across it. They're like, wow, how did I even exist without that before?
Sure. We're going to take a short break here, and when we come back, we'll speak to our panel of experts in the content area and speak to them about their critical revenue stakeholders. We're going to talk about brands, and we're talking about subscribers.